Hey, and welcome back to the series on how to sell on Amazon in 2019. In this video, we're going to be talking about arbitrage, retail and online arbitrage, what the difference is, and how to do them step by step. So if you're following along in the guide that I gave you in the last video, and if you haven't gotten the guide, you can get it in the link below this video, but we're going to be talking about arbitrage. First off, retail arbitrage. So retail arbitrage is one of probably the absolute cheapest way to get started selling on Amazon. So the best way to do retail arbitrage is actually to get an app for your phone, iPhone or Android, it doesn't really matter, and get a particular app that allows you to scan products barcodes, and then it tells you how much you can sell them for, and then obviously you can see how much you can buy them for, and then you put that in and it tells you the profit that you're going to make on that particular unit, including all of the different Amazon fees. So there's several different apps, but the free one is just the Amazon Seller app, which is completely free. It's just called Amazon Seller in the App Store, and you can scan units with that. It'll also show you how many other people are selling it, so you can then kind of calculate, okay, how many sales will I get if I'm selling it? So that's the absolute free app. But the best app is actually Profit Bandit, which is not free. It's actually like $10 a month, I think, but it allows you to look at historical pricing data using different tools like Keepa and Camel. And if you don't know exactly what those are, no big deal. We're going to get into that today, but it allows you to use those tools so you can actually check the price history, which is actually very important. So if you're using just the Amazon Seller app, you can only see what the price is at that point in time. Whereas if you use these other apps, you can see the historic price, and that allows you to make better buying decisions. And I'll explain why when I talk about Keepa and how all that works. But essentially, if you can't look at the previous prices and the previous sales ranks, then you can't make a good, accurate buying decision at the time when you're actually at the store scanning the product. But retail arbitrage in a nutshell, again, is going to the store, scanning products, deciding whether you want to buy them or not, and I'll get into what makes a good product in a second. And then you buy the ones that are good, and then you take them home, okay? You package them up, you put FNSKU, barcode, stickers on all the products, you put it all in a big box, you put an FBA label on it, and then you ship it to an FBA warehouse. And then it sells to the customers that are going to buy it, and then you make money. So that is the very basic laid out workflow when it comes to arbitrage in general. And online arbitrage is actually not that much different. Except for the fact that you don't have to actually go to stores, right? So online arbitrage is entirely online, which means you can do it all from just sitting in your living room on the couch. So for online arbitrage, you still have to find products, right? How do you go about finding products? Well, you could go through a bunch of different websites like Walmart and search and find deals, but there's a really great piece of software out there called Tactical Arbitrage, and it is the absolute best. There's not really any rivals. I've used other different tools out there for finding online arbitrage products, but Tactical Arbitrage is pretty much it. It is, the top of the line, the best and fastest, most efficient, most accurate, blah, blah, blah. So it is still at the top of the charts for online arbitrage. And if you're doing online arbitrage, you're going to hear the words Tactical Arbitrage, and you odds are will be using it as well, because again, it's the best software out there for online arbitrage. Now, an alternative to Tactical Arbitrage, if you are really lazy, don't want to learn the software, don't understand it, don't want to have to put in the resources to have to manually go through all of the results and stuff like that, is to get what's called an OA leads list, or online arbitrage leads list. Basically, it is a list of products that you get delivered to you every day that is, here, buy these. Just laid out for you. It's just usually in a spreadsheet where it just says, these leads are good, these products are good. Look, you can buy them from Walmart for this price, you can sell it at Amazon for this price. And it just, a bunch of different leads. Some leads lists give you 5 a day, some 7, 10, and you can easily go through that list, and it takes maybe an hour each day to go through that list and buy the ones that you think are going to be the best for you. And so it doesn't get any simpler than that, is what I'm going to say. And those are actually on the come up this year as compared to last year. A couple years ago, OA leads lists, no one really talked about them. They weren't really out there. But this year, they're definitely on the rise, because a lot of people want to automate their businesses from the get-go, and they don't want to have to learn new softwares or have to spend time sourcing or whatever. They just want to be handed leads. But they are really great for new sellers that don't have the time or resources to be able to sit and source products all day. And they can just, maybe an hour a day, just sit down, look at the leads, say, okay, these are good, I'm gonna buy these. And then they just buy them. And then what's great is you can actually use what's called a prepper. And I didn't really talk about a prepper with retail arbitrage because they're not super useful for retail arbitrage, but for online arbitrage, you don't have to even ship it to yourself. So, you get these leads or you find them on tactical arbitrage of products, you buy them from the buy site, any retailer around the country, and you ship them to the prepper. So a prepper is a completely different address than your own. You ship it to them and they do all the prep. They do the barcodes, they do the labeling, and then they package it up and they ship it to Amazon for you. So you don't have to do anything. And they usually charge a really, really small fee of like $1 or $1.50 a unit, which when we're talking about, you're gonna be selling hundreds of units ideally a month, that can really put a damper on your time if you're having to package those yourself. So a lot of people actually start using a prepper from the very beginning of their business instead of actually ever packaging stuff yourself. Now, I personally started packaging stuff myself in my apartment, and I remember putting a bunch of stuff in boxes and labeling it all myself. But obviously I moved away from that and I use a prepper now because, well, there's just too much stuff. So I talked about a program called Keepa a little earlier when I was talking about retail arbitrage. It's a completely free tool, and it's really, really useful for Amazon sellers. In fact, if you're an Amazon seller and you're not using it, then you're just not selling on Amazon the right way. It is the end-all be-all for sales rank and price history. And so you can basically put in any product on Amazon and it's going to tell you all of the different prices that it's ever sold at, and it's going to tell you the best sellers rank. And the best sellers rank essentially tells you, hey, this product sells really well if it's low ranked, or if it's really, really high ranked, like in the millions, that means it doesn't sell very well. So maybe it sells like once a month, whereas things in the thousands are going to sell, hundreds or even thousands of times a month. So you always want to be on the lookout for products that have a really low sales rank, because that means they're selling a lot better compared to the other products in their category. But the big issue is you have a product that's, say, ranked 1 million, right? And then it sells once. Then that rank is going to drop a ton, and it could drop as low as under 100K. And you might see the product say, oh, a rank under 100K, that's pretty good. That sells decent. I'm going to buy it. But what you don't know is that it actually just sold that morning. And so the rank is artificially low. Normally it's in the millions, but you're seeing it like 90,000, so you buy the product. And so that's why it's very important to use tools like Keepa to see, oh, historically, this product is normally ranked in the millions. It just must have recently sold and now it's ranked really low. So you always want to check a tool like Keepa. There's also another one called Camel, which I don't really like as much just because, well, it just doesn't work as well, I guess. But I prefer Keepa, and always check Keepa when you're sourcing any product for anything, because you have to know the history of the product before you can, buy it. So essentially you want to really get to know the product before you end up marrying it. Yeah, that's a really weird analogy. So the last thing for arbitrage is going to be gating, and it's brought a lot of worry to people over the past couple of years because, well, it wasn't around a couple of years ago. When I first started Amazon, there was no such thing as gating. So what gating is Amazon telling certain sellers that they can't sell certain products. For example, you as a new seller, when you first join the platform, won't be able to sell big name brands like Disney or Nike, or looking around the room for different brands, but you won't be able to sell big name brands. And that's because these big name brands, they have a name, right? They're name brands, and so they don't want their name spoiled by sellers that might be selling knockoffs. And that's actually why gating came into play many years ago, is because they had a lot of scammers that were selling counterfeit products under different brands. And it actually started big with Jordans by Nike. Basically a ton of people out of China were bringing all these fake Nikes into the country and selling them on the Amazon listings as brand new, real Nikes. And Nike got so pissed at Amazon and they threatened to sue, and Amazon was like, I don't know what to do. All right, we're just gonna not let anybody sell Nike anymore. And so I remember when they gated Nike, they sent an email to everybody that was selling Nike, and they're like, hey, no one can sell Nike anymore. And I remember sellers threw a massive fit about it. But in the end, it ended up working better because we got rid of all of the scammers that were selling counterfeit products using the gating system. But it is kind of a headache for new sellers. The good news is you can get ungated, which allows you to sell that particular product, category, or brand. And getting ungated is actually not as hard as some people like to think it is. You don't necessarily need an invoice and a letter from the brand and all this different stuff to get ungated. There's a lot of brands that you can get what's called auto ungated, and basically after you've been selling for a few months, Amazon's going to look at your account and they're going to say, okay, this person's not a scammer, right? They've been here for several months, they've got 5-star feedback, they're making a lot of sales, they're bringing our platform a lot of money. We're going to allow them to sell these different brands. And so they'll allow you to get ungated in different brands and categories, and that really opens you up to a lot more products that you can buy. Because one of the absolute hardest things when you're first starting your Amazon business, especially in arbitrage, is getting around product gates, because a lot of products and categories are gated, especially the really profitable ones. So it is hard to find ungated products, but don't let that discourage you, because there's still billions of ungated products that you'll be able to sell right from the get-go. And as you sell more and more products, you'll be able to get auto ungated in all these different brands and categories, and you'll be able to sell more and more products. And the more products you sell, the more money you'll make. So as you continue to grow your Amazon business, you'll be able to sell a lot and a lot more. So that about sums up arbitrage. And in the next video, we're gonna be talking about private label and all of the different steps that you have to take in order to do private label. And there's a lot. So I actually do recommend that people get started with arbitrage, because it's a lot easier and lower cost than private label. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.